joining us from Germany, and a good afternoon to those joining from India. A very warm welcome to all of you to today's webinar on building successful organizations in India, the role of people strategy and cross-cultural competence. I am Mona Desai Tanshe, your MIIM coordinator in Germany, and I'm excited to guide you through today's session. As German companies deepen their engagement with India, people strategy and cross-cultural competence have become essential. Today's session will explore exactly that, how organizations can bridge cultural expectations, strengthen collaborations, and create workplaces where diverse talents thrive. Before we begin, a quick look at the platform. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll find the control panel, where you can adjust your audio settings. Below, you will see the question panel. Please feel free to send your questions at any time. We will take them up at the end during the Q&A session. For those joining us for the first time, let me briefly introduce you to our Make in India Mittelstand program. MIIM, as it's fondly called, is an initiative of the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade and the Embassy of India in Berlin. It serves as a dedicated platform supporting German Mittelstand companies and family-owned enterprises by integrating a wide range of services to facilitate their market entry and expansion in India. And without further delay, we shall commence today's webinar with an address by Dr. Dinesh Antil. Dr. Antil is the first secretary, head of Income Tax Overseas Unit and Economic and Commercial Wing of the Embassy of India in Berlin. Dr. Antil, we are delighted to have you join us today and give us your welcome remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Monaz. Good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you joining us today. I would like to extend a warm greeting to our speakers and partner organizations joining us this morning. Your collective presence reflects the depth of experience that this German-Indian business community brings to today's discussion. Friends, this year we are celebrating 75 years of India-Germany diplomatic relations. This milestone is more than a date on a calendar. It's a reflection of a relationship built patiently on a foundation of shared democratic values, mutual respect, and synergies. This spirit of mutual understanding has never been more relevant to our shared economic ambitions. And this is this spirit that must now guide our economic partnership. Over the past years, MIIM has supported 287 German companies in their journey in India. Every one of those engagements has taught us the same lesson. Technology, capital, and market entry strategy matter greatly. But what equally importantly determines whether a company thrives in India is its people and how well it understands the people it works with. India is not a single uniform geography. It's a vast, diverse, and fast evolving economy, home to a workforce that's young, ambitious, and increasingly global in outlook. For German companies and Mittelstand firms in particular, success in India rarely hinges on the product alone. It hinges on leadership that understands Indian workplace culture, on HR strategies that are adapted rather than merely transplanted, and on an organizational mindset that treats cross-cultural fluency not as a soft skill, but as a core business capability. We have seen time and again that companies who invest early in building the right teams and equipping their relationship to bridge cultural expectations, communication styles, and management practices are the ones who scale sustainably in India. Those who underestimate this dimension often find that the most carefully constructed business plan can sometimes, even if rarely, falter, not for lack of strategy, but for lack of cultural understanding. And this is precisely why today's discussion matters. Over the next hour, our speakers will offer you practical, ground-level insights on how to build leadership teams suited to the Indian context, how to manage cross-cultural teams effectively, and how to learn from companies who have already walked this path successfully. I encourage you to engage actively, to ask questions, and draw on the real experience being shared today. The embassy remains a committed partner to every German company on this journey, and initiatives like MIIM exist precisely to make that journey smoother. With that, I wish you a productive and insightful session. And now I hand over the floor to begin our discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Until. Thank you for those very comprehensive, committed, and encouraging words. And without further delay, I am going to move to our first speaker for the session. This is someone, ladies and gentlemen, that you already know, and it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce you to Ms. Anna Krieckhaus. Ms. Anna Krieckhaus is director at the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce in Düsseldorf. And as many of you know her, she is known for her deep expertise in India's strategy and her long-standing engagement with the Indo-German business collaborations for over 25 years. Anna has worked extensively with multicultural teams and brings a wealth of practical insights that are highly relevant in today's topic. Anna, we are honored to have you here with us. Thank you for taking the time out, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Monas, for this very, very kind introduction. And yes, let me start by saying this is now a really tough topic because I only have 10 minutes in somehow, guiding you on the foundation actually of Indo-German trade and the Indo-German cooperation, which is actually, of course, the people. So the most important thing, of course, that you have, where we're talking about India, is that you have the trust in your Indian partners, and of course, the Indian partners have the trust in you. So just, let me start by sharing this slide, which I'm not sure if all of you ever visited one of our offices, because we're having 6 offices in India, 1 office in Germany. And that is actually the picture that you can see in all our offices. Why exactly? Because you can see here now the borders of India laying on the map of Europe. Looks nice, yes, but actually that is more or less the thing that I would like to explain to you today again, that when we're talking about India, India is not only India. So whatever you're saying about India, the opposite is also true. And when we're talking about Germany, then you have to keep in mind, of course, that is also more or less the same for Germany. So yes, there are stereotypes that we're having, there are pictures in our mind that we're having when it comes to Germany and also when it comes to India. But you really have to be open for both markets. And as you can see, it is not so easy to say that, you understand the Indian market, because sometimes even, as a German traveling to Norway, or as a German traveling to maybe even the Netherlands, which is a neighboring country, you would feel like, what is this? So you always have to keep in mind that, of course, India, when it comes to the scale, is a large country. So you really have to make sure that you're taking care of this, because everything that you see is only the tip of the iceberg. So you only see, or actually you're working with your partner there in India, and you see the behavior, or you see what the person is doing, but that is only the small thing that you see. What you don't see, of course, is the rest. That's all that, made this person do that. So you don't see clearly all the cultural kind of differences that you have. So you have to keep in mind, India is a very dynamic country, of course, but you also have to make sure that, of course, it's different, when you're looking at various states and when you're looking at the people. So please keep that in mind, and don't think ever that you really know India, because I'm working now for the Chamber for 24 years, and I would actually never ever say that I know India by heart, because I've been there a couple of times. But it is always such a wonderful country. And of course, you always learn something new. That's actually just a card for you to understand a little bit about the culture, but and what's behind actually, in what does culture mean. But I only have 10 minutes, so I have to skip this one. Let me show that one here, which actually explains quite good the differences. Because the thing is, we're talking about stereotypes, and the stereotype that we're having from India, and of course what maybe people in India think about the Germans. That one, actually, that picture, I wrote a prompt and I asked, the AI, just do a stereotype of picture of a German compared to an Indian, and see that is the result. So I'm pretty sure, talking to all the Germans, we are not wearing lederhosen all the day, and we're not looking that grumpy all the time. Please keep in mind, of course, there are different regions in India, there are different languages, there are different even writings. So you have to keep this in mind while traveling in India and prepare for India. I just have some pictures for you, because you see, India, as I said, could be everything. So you really have to prepare yourself for traveling there. Make sure that you're always open for talking to the people in India, and also, you know, be open to learn, of course, about India, and to discuss. So one thing that always comes up, that I'm pretty sure you know, when it comes to the differences between India and Germany, talking about this, is of course that the Germans are looked at quite, you know, strict, and they seem to be like, you know, they are so strict, and they're always, you know, just talking very direct to people in India, because here it is just, you know, something completely different when we're talking about people in India. So you really have to make sure, don't worry, you don't have to write everything that is there in my presentation now, because I can promise you this presentation has so many slides. I'm not going to show all of them, but we will of course share them, and I'm pretty sure Monas and the rest of the wonderful Make in India Mittelstand team will share that with you. So if you're having any further questions, don't really worry about that one. So you will get the presentation and you don't have to write it down, because we really have to make sure, you know, that we always have to keep in mind, you know, how the people in India are actually, you know, our partner there in India is looking at us, and how are we looking at India. But I'm pretty sure you will learn much more later on from the other wonderful speakers also about how to set up teams and, you know, what to do. One important thing you have to keep in mind is also that there's a lot of hierarchy in India. So of course, you know, you see this little comic there on top of my presentation. That is actually from a book. I love this book, by the way, that was published in 1973. And the name of the book is actually The Wonderland of Indian Managers. So still, you know, you can see there the boss sitting there with the crown, and of course all the employees are coming and, you know, listening to him. So he is actually the one who's making the decisions. So you have to keep this in mind while you're preparing also your teams for India, because there it is always important to make sure that, you know, you keep actually also the hierarchy in your mind, and to know that actually maybe it differs a little bit, you know, when we're talking about India and Germany. So here in Germany, you would just ask your employee or your colleague, hey, can you just do that? And he would hopefully do it. And then on the other way, actually, you know, in India, maybe it would be like, you know, there's somebody you're asking to do it, and then this colleague is asking somebody else to do it. And, you know, there are more people involved to that. And also, you know, while we're talking about that, it is also strange maybe for people over here in Germany, then, you know, because there, if you know, if you can't do it, you would simply say no. But that, of course, you will not directly say in India, which is actually also for Indian managers who are working with German companies a little tough sometimes. You know, if they're asking a German colleague, hey, can you please do that? And the German is saying no. So we always have to keep in mind, yes, there are different cultural backgrounds between both countries. But I'm pretty sure, and as I said, I'm working for this chamber now for quite a bit. Actually, you know what? It is always great. I can only talk about my experiences within the German teams, and it is always a lot of fun. Of course, sometimes you really have to think and focus on like, what is this person telling me at the moment? But it is always a lot of fun. And it actually, you know, there are so many effective and also very successful teams when you're looking at Indo-German companies. And that's also what I hear actually from German businessmen when they're talking to India. Once you understand, or when we're talking about working with India. So once you understand actually how it works out beautifully. And let me just wrap up with this, just, you know, mentioning again, you will get the presentation, no need to worry, because it's a long one, and you don't have to listen to this now the whole time, but I'm happy to share that one. And yes, let me just tell you, it is always beautiful to work with Indian colleagues, and I'm very happy to be here. And yes, it's just a great thing.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for keeping it so crisp, so comprehensive, so concise. and a very colorful and bright presentation. And a picture speaks 1,000 words, and truly your presentation resonates on that. So moving forward, without any delay, I have our next speaker, who is Mr. Christian Tegethoff from CT Executive, Director at CT Executive. Please allow me to briefly introduce you all to him. He is a leading expert in international executive search with over 20 years of industry experience. For more than 15 years, he has served as a founder and managing director of CT Executive Search, specializing in placing senior leaders for German mid-sized companies operating in India, Eastern Europe, and the Gulf region. Before founding this firm, he worked with top HR consultancies as Kienbaum and held a senior role with German Chambers of Commerce abroad. He is also a recognized voice in major business organizations, including the German Eastern Business Association. Mr. Tegethoff, we are very happy and thank you for joining us today. And also, he is an avid member of the Make in India Mittelstand family. So thank you, Mr. Tegethoff. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Monas. Thank you for the warm introduction. I hope that you can hear me so that my microphone is working now. Perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Good. And I hope you can also see the presentation, which I'm just sharing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Good. Yes. Right, then we're all set. Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm aware that the clock is ticking. I have a budget here of 15 minutes. I will try maybe to also tighten things a bit up so that I will maybe do in 12 or 13 minutes so that we go back to our timetable. So I can skip introductions basically because Monos was nice enough to already share a few words about myself and also about our business. So we are an executive search firm that works mainly for European companies, many of them from the German-speaking countries, and we help them to fill senior roles, key roles across Eastern Europe, Middle East, and India, which is our topic now, and I'm now coming to that. So first, a few figures to start with. Actually, I thought it might just help to give a bit of context because we are talking about human resources, the labor market in a broader sense. Here are some figures, just for introductions. Don't worry, I'm not planning now to read them out to you, so you can have a look yourself. I just wanted to address a few points which you find on the left-hand side of the slide. So first, when we talk about the Indian labor market, we can, of course, only talk about the official part of it. And as you see here, this is the smaller part. So 80, maybe 90% of the Indian workforce are working in the so-called non-documented sector. So they are not part of all the statistics which you see on the right-hand side. So just as one point. And then one of the major issues that we face during our recruitment activities, and of course also our clients, is that there are many people in India, that is clear, but qualified professionals at all levels are in relatively short supply, which is also, of course, due to the high demand that we see. So we have companies from all countries of the world now coming to India, USA, UK, Europe, Germany, and of course, all of them are looking more or less for the same people. And this might be also one of the factors why we see wage increases all the time in India. I will show some more figures in the next slide. But in this year alone, 2026, we are looking at a bit more than 9% wage increase, and that is a real wage increase. I will talk about that in a second. So what we can take away is here high competition, recruitment, not easy. Now, a few figures. So average real wage growth, I talked about that a second ago for the last years, so 21 till 25, so has been between 8 and 10%. And I want to remind real wage means or is counting in inflation. So this means this is after the effects of inflation, which is of course good news for the Indians because they have more money to spend. It's of course also good for the GDP. Spending power rises, but for the companies, they need to budget that in. So we need to understand we have a relatively low incomes now or costs from the company perspective, but these figures are rising. So, but still, you compare India to Vietnam, Indonesia, China. So let's say low labor cost is an asset that India has if it comes to labor intensive manufacturing, for instance. So, but now executive search, which is what we are doing as a company. So again, I just want to pick 1-2 aspects of this slide and talk about that in some detail. So the first point I want to make is the core competency that we look for in candidates when filling executive roles for India is intercultural competence. So we just heard about that from Anna. So I think everybody who has been to India or any Indian who has been to Germany understands that there are intercultural differences. So things work in India not the same way as they do in Germany. This is not only about communication, but many things. And the leader in India for the German subsidiary needs to be the intercultural bridge. So we need a candidate who is able to work in India, to understand India, be successful in India with its culture, but at the same time, the person needs to be able to integrate into a German corporate structure. And we're probably mostly talking about Mittelstand. So in a Mittelstand culture, which is also special, it's not the same as the culture at Siemens or other big corporations. Yeah, and the other one is there is a tough competition. I mentioned that because Indian candidates value the employer brand very dearly. So, for instance, US companies have a very good image in India, and let's say many people take a pride in working for a well-known company with a strong brand. And that is, of course, something that German Mittelstand companies don't have always. So we then need to find other ways to sell an opportunity to a candidate. And there is high turnover at the moment with top candidates because demand is high. And so employee retention is a very important topic. I cannot go into detail here, but this is, of course, not only about salaries, but I would say more about perspective. So why should a good person, a good candidate stay with a company for long? So that's something to be factored in. Right, and here a few more things. I will just point out 2 of the topics which we have listed here. So the first one would be to avoid post and pray. So that is my recommendation. If you want to hire for a senior role, don't waste time, with LinkedIn posts and LinkedIn ads and, ads and other media. The way forward is direct search, which will allow you to bring the best candidates that are available in the market to the table. And then on the back of that, be able to make an informed choice, which of the candidates available actually fits your best. And then hopefully you pick the right one and your business will thrive. So this is what I would say. And another point is references and background checks. I will address that quickly because I get that asked often. So of course, it's always good to do a check of the written references that the candidate can bring. I think it's a part of the due diligence process that most companies do anyway. But in India, but not only in India, but also in India, it can also pay off to do a deeper background check. And that would involve then interviews with former line managers of the candidates that you are considering to hire. And then we can double check if the information in the CV really matches the information that the company also has. So sometimes you can be surprised by doing that. Most of the time, of course, there are no problems, but just to be sure, we do it as part of our process. Yeah, so candidate pools. Actually, we have now written about 3 on the slide. There is a 4th one, which I will also briefly mention. So when you think about who to take as a MD, GM for your subsidiary in India, that can be a local manager, an expat or local expat or repatriate. 90, if not 95% of all German companies nowadays go for the local manager. That would be an Indian. And of course, there are many pros and arguments for that. So we can assume that an Indian knows India, that he will be well set to work with an Indian team, that he is also close to the Indian customers. He understands the legal framework probably better than an expat. So that's all clear. And if we can find candidates who are compliant or have compliant understanding, so understand about these procedures and structures, and who can be the intercultural bridge, then that can be a very good option, honestly. So expats are sort of a special thing. It can be an option if you want to set up a subsidiary and you want to export your company culture to India. So during the setup phase, it might make sense, to have an expatriate as an ambassador to see you through the startup phase. Expats also play a big role through setup of manufacturing, technology transfer. So these are special, I would say, cases where expats still, are quite common in India. But of course, expats usually don't want to stay in India for good. They will work a couple of years and then will want to come back to the headquarter. They're also expensive. So one really needs to have good reasons for doing that. Local expats, we'll touch that briefly, are foreigners, so non-Indians who live in India for good, for family reasons, private reasons, or whatever. They are clustered mainly, I would say, in Mumbai, Pune, and the Delhi region. And they can be a good, compromise. So you have somebody with European background who knows India, can work, of course, if the hard skills are there. And repatriates are the fourth candidate pool. That would be Indians who are now living outside of India, Europe, UK, USA, wherever, which have this international exposure and experience and might then be willing to go back to India and take over a key role there. So these are the four options one has. This one I will not comment. I think most of you have seen these flow charts. This is how an executive search process works. I will just talk a bit about timeframes. So we usually budget between 4 and 6 weeks until we are able to present the candidate shortlist to the client. And then follows the interview negotiation process, background checks. Then it's mainly up to the company how quick it can be. So first round of interviews are usually these days being run by video, and then the final 1 or 2 candidates fly over to Germany, or there are meetings in India. But then it depends really how much time the company needs to make up their mind and come up with the offer. This I will only mention also briefly because when interviewing Indian candidates, Germans sometimes mix up two things, what we call in Germany Bruttovergütung or Bruttogehalt, which would be the base salary, and the gross salary. And in India, candidates often talk about a CTC, which means a cost to company. This includes the base salary, the bonus, and also all the statutory payments that need to be deducted for insurance, pension funds, and others. So this is not exactly the same as the German Bruttovergütung. So just keep that in mind when interviewing candidates, that you make clear what are we now talking here. And now to, let's basically top off, just wanted to show you a few figures from real life, because we of course get frequently asked, what do people earn in India? What do managers earn? And we'll just to show you 2 or 3 slides. This is a search which we did last year. That was for a German materials producer, which is quite a big manufacturing site in South India. They were looking for a candidate who could manage as an MD a whole company with all the functions, including manufacturing. And on the right-hand side, you see the salaries which candidates had when they applied. So they, of course, then got a bit more. But that was between 19 and 120,000 euros fixed, plus bonus, plus a company car. That would be a common package. And just to show the difference, we also had one German candidate in the run who was at 170,000 fixed plus bonus, and then all the additional benefits would make it then really expensive. And in the end, the client went for an Indian as their MD. Another, I would say, quite common project which we had, that was a German mid-sized company which set up a sales and service organization, or mainly sales, In India, they were also looking for the MD. They wanted to have experienced candidates with laboratory equipment, experience in selling to the pharmaceutical sector. And there you see quite a broad range of salaries which the candidates had, between 52 and 110,000. This is very much depending on where the candidate works. We had a candidate from a mid-sized German company, was closer to the 52. And we had candidates from blue chip US companies, which were then at the higher end. And in the end, the client went for the former US candidate because they thought that they have more the impact that they needed for their business. Yeah, so this is also quite common. Site manager to set up a small manufacturing site in Pune. Here you see more modest salaries between 35 and 50,000 plus bonus. So, but this is of course not a full MD. It is more sort of a COO, if you will, or plant manager. So it's always the question. But this is not a full MD role, but one level below that, and hence also the lower salaries. Yeah, now to I hope I'm more or less still in time. Just a few things which one should keep in mind if you are thinking about setting up a subsidiary in India and hiring now the key person. So first recommendation would be to narrow down the target profile as far as you can. So you need to think, what skills do you really need? Don't look for more skills that you need. Second thing is how close the candidates must be to your industry. So do we look at industry-specific candidates, or can it be somebody from a neighboring industry with transferable skills? So the broader you are, the bigger your choice. And then, of course, try to synchronize the search process as good as possible with the legal stuff, which I cannot, go into details. So setting up LLC in India, getting all the contracts right, can take a bit more time than you might budget. So it would be good, to keep that in mind to avoid communication or bottlenecks with the candidates. Thanks a lot, and yeah, we'll be happy to take questions if there will be the opportunity at the end. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tegethoff. Thanks a lot. What I take from this presentation is that, and all the points is that what you have said is that we need to have a well-built team to accelerate our growth and also create an environment and a common understanding where talent can survive. And also, thank you very much for bringing up the netto brutto topic. I got a lot of reactions from the audience, and that is always a cause of question and cause of concern. I'm sure there must be a lot of nodding heads to that. And ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our next speaker is Ms. Dipali Joshi. She heads our strategy advisory team at Rodal. Dipali is a senior strategy consultant with over 18 years of experience in cross-border business consulting and mergers and acquisitions. She has advised and assisted several European and Japanese companies to set up and grow their presence in Asia. Dipali, we are very happy to have you join us today and eagerly await your address. Thank you.
Hi, Monaz. Hello. Hello, everyone. At the outset, let me thank you and the embassy for inviting me to this session. So it is my pleasure to share some practical insights from my own experience of working with cross-cultural teams. Being part of a professional service organization that advises international companies entering or expanding in the Indian market, we collaborate extensively with colleagues, clients, and partners from different cultural backgrounds. So these experiences have reinforced that successful collaboration is not just about understanding the cultural differences, but about creating common ways of working, shared working spaces. You know, so going to my first slide. As Annie also mentioned, when people think about India, they often think of one workforce. But here I would say with 28 states, multiple languages, diverse educational backgrounds, and different workplace cultures, there isn't one Indian way of working. For instance, the communication style of a software engineer from Bangalore may be quite different from a plant manager in Pune or a sales leader in Delhi. Just as we wouldn't assume that working with colleagues in Germany, Spain, or Italy is identical. So, therefore, I would say the first principle of managing cross cultural teams is to recognize the diversity. Here, there are a lot of differences that our fellow speakers have already highlighted. So, here for our reference, I would like to highlight three dimensions that mostly influence the day to day collaboration. First one being communication. So, in Germany, as we would have noticed, communication is generally very direct and explicit. Clear yes or no is expected to communicate it. Now, in India, communication tends to be more contextual or relationship conscious. Yes may mean acknowledgement or, and not agreement. Neither style is better. One emphasizes on clarity, the other emphasizes on harmony. The second highlight, I would say, would be the decision making. German teams generally spend more time on building consensus before execution, whereas Indian teams often demonstrate greater flexibility once execution begins. One minimizes uncertainty, the other adapts quickly to changing realities. And third, most important of these, in my opinion, would be style of feedback. In Germany, direct feedback is viewed as professional. In India, feedback may be softened to preserve the relationship. Without cultural awareness, both sides can unintentionally misinterpret each other. Of course, the objective would not be to change either of the style. Here, the objective is to understand the strengths of each team brings. You know, so the next question would be, how do we convert these cultural differences into better team performance or cohesive workplace? In my opinion, what I have learned through our experiences in working with cross-cultural teams is building the trust before driving performance is the key. So, even research consistently shows that high performing global teams are built on trust. However, trust develops differently across cultures. So, German professionals often develop trust through competence, reliability, consistent delivery of performance. Whereas Indian professionals also value competence, but strength is trust is strengthened through accessibility, personal rapport, and relationship building. As leaders, it is our responsibility to create opportunities for both. For instance, in case of cross-cultural teams, when we are launching a new project, we spend first meeting understanding the people, from where they are coming from, what is their previous background, what is their communication style, what is their comfort level, etc., rather than just the project. So here, in my opinion, leaders can play very important role by encouraging regular one-to-one conversations, creating opportunities for informal interactions in terms of virtual or in-person settings, celebrating team milestones together. Moving on to another important pillar, in my opinion, is making expectations explicit. And probably this is the simplest and the most effective practice while building the cross cultural teams. So, aligning on factors or questions such as who owns each task or who makes the final decision, what is negotiable or what is non negotiable, how does success look like, or how will progress be reviewed, are all these are important and helpful questions. And one of my favorite is communicate for clarity and not for completion of a task or a project. So here I would like to give an example. As a German colleague may say that this approach won't work, and an Indian colleague may interpret it as a criticism. He or she may respond, "We will try our best." A German colleague may interpret it as a commitment. However, it may simply mean that there could be challenges. None of the interpretation is wrong. So here, the project lead or the leaders play important role of asking right questions. So instead of asking any questions, when we generally ask, what risk do we foresee? Or instead of asking, can you do this? We generally ask, what support do you need to deliver this by this date? So we have a practice at Rodal after every meeting of this cross-cultural team. We often make a habit, to summarize decisions, actions, items, responsibilities, and deadline, because we truly believe that documentation bridges cultural communication gaps. And last but not the least, what I would like to highlight here is uh, both countries, India and Germany bring a lot of strengths to the table and which are complementary. So German teams contribute precision, quality, planning, discipline, whereas Indian teams contribute adaptability, speed, resourcefulness, problem solving. So hence, it is always better to have uh, those complementary skills or complementaries together, combine them both instead of uh, replacing them with each other. So hence, I would say combining precision with the agility. So that would be Germany plus India for me. And hence it is very important to build this new team culture together. So shared communication norms, shared meeting etiquettes, expectations, accountability. So the culture is intentionally designed and not left to chance. Here, I would like to leave you with one thought. Managing cross-cultural team is not about eliminating the differences, because differences are what are those which create innovation. So here, in my opinion, real leadership challenge is creating the environment where those differences can become complementary, as in case of India and Germany, rather than sources of misunderstanding. So, in interest of time, I would like to close my session with this quote. The strongest global teams are not those where everyone thinks alike, but those where different perspectives are aligned by a shared purpose, mutual trust, and clear ways of working. Thank you very much for patiently listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dipali. All thanks to you. I'm sure that you have highlighted two important things, communication and trust. I think these are the most important nuances of India-Germany collaborations. And from communication styles to operational expectations, especially post meetings. And thank you for bringing in real life cases also. So thank you once again. And ladies and gentlemen, insights are not enough. What truly matters is how all these ideas are actually translated into action. And now, to take us from all this theory to real world application, we are joined today by a panel of distinguished experts who work at the intersection of India Germany collaborations every single day. It is my pleasure to introduce two companies today who have graciously and generously taken time out from their busy schedules to be here with us. They will share with you what happens live and in reality, the challenges, the solutions, and what happens to be practical frameworks that make cross cultural teamwork actually succeed. So, with that, let me welcome our first speakers who are going to share their India journey, highlighting the power of people centric investment. Coming first, representing the ZF Group is Ms. Mallika Apte, Head PR and Corporate Communications for India. I would like to introduce her. Mallika is the Head of PR and Corporate Communications for ZF Group in India. She brings deep expertise in developing strategic communications, brand management, and stakeholder engagement to drive impactful narratives across the industrial, automotive, and technology sectors. Together with her, we have Christopher Rimmele. Christopher is currently heading the communication department of ZF Commercial Vehicles, a division of ZF Group, with approximately, let's wait, 30,000 employees in 65 different locations. He has worked in the automotive industry for 15 years in various roles and has an academic background in political sciences, contributing to his focus on global regulatory topics around commercial vehicles and their influence to the industry. Today, ZF is joining us as we know them not as the ZF Group as a global leader in electric mobility or industry solutions, but the ZF Group that represents large-scale innovation powered by people. The ZF Group that shows us how global vision and local talent can come together and drive meaningful transformations in engineering and manufacturing teams. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us today. The floor is all yours because I believe you want to make a small and a much well-deserved introduction of ZF Group before we start off some questions with you. So thank you, Mallika. Thank you, Christopher.
Yes, please let me know. Hello, everyone. Please let me know if you can see my screen already or if it's populating.
Yes, we can. And we can hear you as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Monas, and the entire MIIM team and the Indian Embassy for giving us this opportunity. I'm extremely proud to introduce the ZF Group and the ZF Group's presence in region India for all our attendees here. I shall speed through the presentation, but I'm happy to take questions at the later time. Essentially, to introduce you to ZF Group, it's not a young company. It's a 110 years old organization. But what we are, and we are extremely proud of, is that we're a global technology company. And ranging from passenger cars to commercial vehicles to industrial technology, you see that little line drawing towards the end. We are one of the largest auto component manufacturer globally. What sets us apart is, of course, a quick financial update. We are a 38.8 billion sales company as of 2025. But what sets us apart is our 153,000 plus employees, all of them working towards the idea of auto technology and essentially sustainable, safe mobility. We are also very proud that a large part of our revenues goes into research and development, giving us the edge of having cutting-edge products and solutions and system solutions towards automotive challenges that our customers may face. Of course, we have a worldwide presence. India is one of the regions that we have, but we are in 29 countries, and that is the total ethos of the drivers work group that we have here. And I'm happy to represent that on this platform. Giving you a bit of an overview, we are the number one in passenger car chassis technologies. We're, of course, number one in commercial vehicles. But what sets us also apart is that we are really catching up with our competitors in industrial technology and in aftermarket. Given all that we have and what we bring to the automotive industry, we are in every segment and we have our technologies that make our day-to-day commute via rail, via buses, via cars, via trucks, all the more safer and more easier. Of course, this is just a glance at what we do. You see the wind-powered windmills behind, the marine and all of the technologies that we have in play in the trucks, buses, and off-highway vehicles that we have here. Now, if I can go over to show you a bit of a glimpse of what ZF Group is in India. We have a diverse presence where our customers are, with about 17 manufacturing units across the country. We are headquartered out of Pune. You see on the top left, that's our Chakan plant. Of course, with a huge presence down south in the state of Tamil Nadu, with Oragadam, Coimbatore, and all of the other production facilities that we have. What sets us apart is, of course, our deep-rooted engineering competence. With a tech center in Hyderabad, you see the top right building, we house around 3,500 to 4,500 engineers on a daily basis there. And of course, what sets us apart is the test track. So with 16,000 employees and 12 engineering centers across the country, we're truly an organization that has a pulse on what's happening and what's moving in India from an automotive sector perspective. Quick overview of all of the domains that we address and what product portfolio we bring into the market. Of course, happy to share that we are an organization that is giving the due importance to sustainability, and that's one of our core strategic pillars. We are, of course, moving towards completely, reduction of our O2 emissions and being 100% renewable in our energy sourcing. Also happy to share that India is one of the first regions to achieve the zero waste to landfill. And that's quite a feat, given the fact that the way we are coming up as an emerging country, the amount we're building, it's quite an accomplishment on my colleagues who worked really, really hard on this. And also proud to say that we have about 100% green power across all locations in India. So this was a brief overview of what ZF is in India, and happy to share that here on this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mallika, for that introduction. And now, for the reason why we have got both of you here today, and I want to start with some questions, and the theme that sits in the heart of it is that how do your German and Indian teams collaborate daily, and where do you see the biggest strengths and collaboration opportunities?
Happy to take that one. And first of all, thank you for having me. In all humbleness, I must say there are probably many people in this call who understand India way better than I do, because India, for me, is a part of a very big ZF picture in total. Like Mallika just mentioned, we are not a young company. We're also not a small company with close to 160,000 employees. We have the whole collaboration picture, and this is also what is part of my daily life. So we're connected to the US, to Korea, to India, within Europe, with Japan, with China. And we are a total of, Mallika, please help me, across all divisions, approximately 200 communicators in total that collaborate on a daily basis. So even just in communications, it's a huge amount of talking to each other and trying to understand each other. And I think we are at a good point already now. I feel that we are operating as an integrated team and not living a silo structure. And part of our strategy to come there for all regions, including India, was to move our regions from a traditional support role towards a co-ownership role with full business responsibilities. And for us, it's very clear the business has been to be driven out of the region. And the core for this is trust. You have to trust, you have to understand each other, you have to have the right people in place, and this is only the only way how you can tap into the vast resources that India offers for us as a company, as a capability hub in IT, as a capability hub in engineering, in shared services. And we can offer the domain expertise from Germany, but it's on the Indian colleagues to put that into action. And I think the background from our perspective is really, this sounds like a silly buzzword, but it's the one team mindset. We have one goal and we have one team behind it, and this is what is the backbone of our collaboration.
Here, Christopher, I can tell you nothing is silly, everything is significant here, nothing is small. So whatever you are saying, I'm sure there are a lot of take-homes that people are going to make note on. And this brings me actually now to the next question. So how does your people strategy accommodate different regions and cultures? I mean, it's a natural progression here. So how does that overflow?
It's, of course, always a little bit of a challenge, because what you want to do as a global company of our size is you want to combine a certain global consistency with a local relevance. So you're always balancing between this difference points. So you have to combine this local empowerment with global standards. And this means you have to set frameworks. You have to set frameworks for leadership. You have to set frameworks for performance. You have to set frameworks for values, and you have to align them with each other. And this comes all down to a very, very clear expectation towards our leaders, including Mallika and myself here. We have to build this cultural intelligence. We cannot wait for somebody else to do this for us. We have to foster an inclusive environment. We have to build the bridges, and what really works well for us is trying to leverage diversity as a strength, not as a challenge. I think we heard that earlier. And what ZF is particularly strong at is really building an inclusive environment where different perspectives, different kinds of people are valued, and where people can grow according to what they contribute to the company's success.
Thank you. Mallika, do you want to add something? Yes, I saw you nodding, so definitely your take on the matter.
Thank you. Thank you, Monas. And of course, Christopher's mentioned this. What I would like to add to what he said is we are a people-centric organization. And by that, we have a value system that's built around pillars that promote collaboration, teamwork. For us, the ZF way is the way we live. And in that, empowerment, accountability, of course, diversity of thought and diversity of people is also something that's extremely important. So as an organization that has a century of experience, it's also great to see that people pillar is really important. And how it encourages is not just from the collaboration as a way of, just having said that, but it's really ingrained in how we work. Is it something that works for all of us, some of us, few of us, or none of us? That's also something that we always take back. But trust, like Christopher said, is extremely important to working together when you're sitting so many miles apart and all you can do is connect virtually. So that's extremely important, that a cultural nuance has to be built into the organization.
Yes, and we are sitting right now so many thousands of miles apart. I think you've said it in the perfect on the perfect platform. And I'm going to pick up on this thing what you mentioned of the people pillar strategy. So if you're on the pillars, if I may put the next question to you is, what would you say would be the top 3 success factors or top 3 pillars to success for building a high performance Indo-German team?
Oh, I know that, and maybe I can start, and Mallika can do the deep dive into that, because for us, we are repeating this very often in internal discussions, and it's so easy to memorize. It's the 3 T's. It's trust, transparency, and team spirit. And it really sounds superficial, but there's so much behind it. Mallika, if you want to elaborate.
No, I think, those, the way Christopher put it is extremely important, the 3 T's. If you don't trust anyone, you can forget all about team building. And if you don't have the transparency, and that's also something that is a learned behavior maybe for us as a high context culture, that Christopher will say it like it is and it's not personal, but it also gives us the leverage of being extremely open with him, saying, this is what works with me. Between the 2 of us, we always joke that there's an Indian way of working and there's a German way of working. But really, any organization is a collaboration between cultures. And just having that sort of a dance between the teams is extremely important. Understanding what works, what doesn't work, and just trusting implicitly.
Thank you. I always use the thing, it's a different ball game. I mean, for the Germans, it may be football. For us, it is cricket. So I think it's all in the spirit of things. And now keeping in the spirit of time, I mean, I would love to take this discussion more and more, and maybe it never ends. But we want to give equal, recognition to our other company who is waiting very patiently, and all our participants who are being very steadily there. So thank you, Mallika. Thank you, Christopher, for your time, your expertise, and your willingness to engage with us and, give us some of the details of how you do things at ZF. And it is wonderful to have you here. And moving on to our next company, who also happens to be one of our esteemed Make in India Mittelstand members, and a company who's also known for fostering a culture where employees are seen as the core of innovation and long-term success. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to present FIBRO Rundtische GmbH. Their team in India and Germany work hand in hand, building deep expertise and long-term customer trust. Representing FIBRO today is none other than their president and CEO, Dr. Heiko Asum. He's joining us from Germany. He's joining us from Germany today. Dr. Asum is the managing partner of FIBRO Rundtische GmbH, which became an independent company in early 2024 through a management buyout from the Leppel Group. A certified project manager, auditor, author, and lecturer in entrepreneurship, he brings extensive expertise in corporate transformation and organizational change. His leadership background includes senior roles at major industrial companies such as Knorr-Bremse, Mahler, and TK Elevator. Dr. Asum, thank you for joining us today. Now, so without any delay, I'd like to begin with the epicenter of every Indo-German partnership. How does your German and India teams collaborate daily, and where do you see the biggest cultural difference points or friction points, if I may say?
Okay, Mona, thank you very much. Let me answer in two different ways, because there's always a theory how it should be, as we have learned from the Chamber of Commerce today and also from Deepuli Yoshi. But let me give us like the fact sheet. So the theory should be what's in my mind, that our teams work together through a combination of weekly meetings, virtual meetings, but also project management platforms and regular cross-functional reviews. We intentionally mix teams, members from both countries, to encourage knowledge sharing instead of separate regional teams. That's very clear. But the biggest friction points are usually around communication styles and assumptions, which we have learned already today, because of the German colleagues often value this directness, detailed planning, and very clear timelines, while our colleagues from Indian may place greater emphasis on maintaining relationships and being more flexible when priorities have to be changed. These differences should not be an obstacle once people understand the reason behind them, but they do require conscious management. So this is the theory, but the fact looks always a little different. And let's give you a little head up what also the other people in the webinar should reconsider. Because our Indian colleagues are very, very, very willing and highly committed to learn and taking on all areas of responsibility the ownership. However, collaboration with our German colleagues has been very, very difficult. The transfer of the knowledge, technical expertise, but also quality standards is being obstructed by the German team. That means it is not easy to transfer knowledge or production sites from Germany to Indians. If the Indian colleagues do not fully understand something after a few attempts on a virtual meeting, the German colleagues often become very, very dismissive, saying that, fuck off, they won't understand it anyway, we have to keep it here. In many cases, crucial detailed knowledge is not transferred properly, causing the knowledge transfer to be failed. They want to keep the knowledge in Germany. They don't want to share because they are afraid of failing and get unemployment. Regardless these challenges, we really have to remain committed to this transition, and that's what we're doing, and have set up a firm date for ending production in Germany. We started with 5 people in India. Now we're over 15. In the next years, we will double the production and the sales people up to 40, because we strongly believe that Indian markets are a very good success for our company.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Asum, for giving such a candid response to that question. And building on that, I have a next question on leadership expectations that often differ significantly between German and Indian employees. So what differences in leadership expectations have you observed between your German and Indian employees?
Yeah, also here in my mind, in my experiences, the German employees generally accept leaders to empower them, Okay, involve them in decision making and also judge them by results rather than close supervision. That's a very big difference. Many Indian employees also appreciate empowerment, but often expect more very clear guidance, coaching, and accessibility. That's what we also learned from Anne already of Chamber of Commerce, very clear directions. However, effective leadership in both countries comes down to adapting a leadership style to the individual rather than assuming one approach fits all. And when you talk about leadership in Germany, it changes right now dramatically. The German leadership is completely different in the future. Empowerment alone is not enough. Teams require also clear directions, explicit priorities, and well-defined expectations regarding what needs to be done. I'm not quite sure how ZF is working like that, but we as a mid-sized company with how we have 250 people, this is what it looks like, right? They are very afraid, very anxious, and even when objective KPIs are in place, it remains challenging to motivate people to go the extra mile as long-term political uncertainty continues to be major distraction in Germany, not in India. We have a long term, it's a marathon, it's not a speed up, it's a marathon, and therefore our people are very stable, just keep go, and they do their way.
So I'm going to thank you for that. Now this is an important dimension that has opened into the session. So how has your people strategy evolved since expanding into India, since these new recent changes that have come up? How have you managed that?
Yeah, more or less initially we tried to apply one global model everywhere because we are located in India, Germany, Americas, and also China. But over time we realized that the consistency does not mean uniformity. Yeah, our core values remain the same as ZF just also presented, but we have adapted areas like recruitment, learning, recognition, all the recruitment we just learned is completely different, and employee engagement to be better reflect the local expectations. The primary guidance principle is local for local, but production takes place where demand exists, same as ZF just mentioned it, rather than where purchasing decisions are made. Purchasing decision may be in Germany, but production and delivery must be in India. This is very often the case, especially for Americas and China. The decision makers are sitting different where we have to deliver. So we must keep all viable options open to remain flexibility and minimize the risks associated with unpredictable political changes and shifts in trade policy, which we have seen the last 2 years.
Yes, absolutely. And this is something that my colleague, Ms. Dipali Joshi, also in some of her other addresses says, and Dipali, I would have loved to bring you in right now, that one size fits all really doesn't work here. Under the spirit of uniformity, you can't say they're using the same rule for Indian colleagues and German colleagues. And I cannot let you go without answering my next question, and something also which has come up from our audiences, that every cross-border team encounters misunderstandings, and it's part of the learning curve. What types of cross-cultural misunderstandings occur most often, and how do you resolve them constructively?
Well, Moritz, that's a very good question. And as we discussed, it must be individually, but the most common misunderstandings involve assumptions about urgencies, directives, and ownership. Rather than assigning a blame, we encourage people to discuss expectionally and very openly. Most issues are resolved simply by increasing clarity and understanding each other's working styles. Our general manager from India is also in the webinar today, and he will say, oh God, Dr. Heiko, he tell me about their theory, but very often he blame me because the numbers are not as we are looking for. But on the other side, if we have open transparency, then we can make common sense and go forward on the same page.
Thank you so much. I will stop here, Dr. Asum, with our conversation here, and I want to give some time for our Q&A round as well. And here I request some of our speakers to keep their screens on. Christopher, I have one question for you here. There's someone who has directed a question. Let's allocate 4 to 5 minutes for this. Christopher, if we may have you live. Thank you. Christopher, what is the biggest mistake global companies make when building teams in India? If you can very briefly respond to it, it would be really nice.
Yes, sure. I'll be super quick. First point, Anne Krieckhaus mentioned it in her introductory presentation. Don't understand India as a single market. It's so diverse, it's so big. Don't fall for that pit, and be aware of the local differences. The second thing, and this is really coming down to the people, do never underestimate the ambition and the resilience of Indian talents. India is such a competitive market, and within this market, people grow up in a environment that really rewards determination, rewards adaptability, continuous learning, and so on. And this really creates professionals. This creates killer employees that really can make the difference for you. So do not underestimate Indian talents, would be my message. And the third one matches with what I said earlier. Don't try to manage India entirely from abroad. You have to build a strong leadership team on site. You have to trust, you have to delegate authority, and you have to develop the business out of India and run things locally within a given framework. And if you don't fall for these 3 pits, I think you're on a good path.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christopher, on that. From there, you mentioned Anna a couple of times. Anna, this one is for you. The question goes that does the chamber provide German companies who are wishing to enter India? Do you provide any local language classes? I am a German working in Pune and struggle to mix up with the locals. Do you want, or perhaps you can give a few tips briefly?
So of course, I mean, the tough one, yes. So we are actually not offering like language courses when it comes to the local languages. But you know, this person, whomever you are, reach out to us, because we're also having an office over there in Pune. Maybe we can just also try to mingle a little bit and make sure that you are onboarding a little bit better with the Indian colleagues, because that would be actually very tough to learn the local languages. And usually it is, as I said, I'm working for the chamber now for 24 years. So the only thing I can say is chalo. And of course, namaste. But that was my Hindi.
And you survived for 25 years. Well, and you did survive for 25 years. Yes, I think, no, thank you so much, Anna, for sharing these views. And I'm sure your presentation will help this person a lot. And I will now just move the question to Mallika. Mallika, this person has a question. Having worked with North American teams, I've noticed differences in communication styles. What practical habits help Indian managers collaborate more effectively with global teams?
Interesting question, Mona. Thank you for that. Of course, working in a global organization gets you ready for a lot of things that come your way. But first and most practical thing is it's not personal. Please stop taking everything personally, because that is what we do as a culture, as a context, that, oh, he said this, but it's not to you, it's to the professional output that's expected. Also, another piece of advice, or if I can, in whatever shape and form, be bold. We are an organization, we are a culture that's innovative. We're a culture that's quick to resolving things. We are problem thinkers, natural born. So bring that, let that shine. That's something that makes us who we are. So that's something that one should not shy off from. And also understand that having a very, very transparent and honest discussion is what is appreciated in the West. And that's what has helped me work with my colleagues. And I hope that's what helps this gentleman or lady also integrate well with her teams. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we are going to definitely go with these pillars of communication and trust. That is the title of CT Executive, Communication and Trust, Christian. I think you have to be very proud of. We are doing all this promotion for you here. And that brings me for a question to you here. The question reads, Mr. Tegethoff, thank you for the insightful presentation. Please, could you touch on the topic of worker retention statistics in India? Now we're talking of retention. If possible, what is the average number of years employees stay in a certain position before moving? I know this is tough, but if you want to still, comment.
Yeah. So, okay, so it is tough because large parts of the answer are not really in my competence. So I can only talk about the management level. Yeah. So, and if I now recall, let's say, the hundreds of CVs that I read through the last 2 years, I would say if you would need to put a figure really on it, yes, it's of course highly individual, but I would say it's mostly three years. So many people think after three years a bit of up or out. Yeah. So you'll see if you get a promotion in your current company, there is no perspective, then people will start looking around at the market being as it is. Then people would move out after or start looking, for options. For blue collar and so on, I can't say. I don't know the statistics, but of course it depends always about the options that a person has. Yeah? If you get a call, on a daily basis with other offers, then you might be more leaning towards a change. If you live in a remote place and there's not much going on, then actually you will tend to stick longer with the company.
Yes, thank you. I mean, this should be enough, and we encourage all our participants to reach out to our speakers directly as well. And moving from there, Christian, I want to bring in Dipali here. From a strategic point of view, there is someone who's asked, apart from manufacturing and IT, what are some of the fastest growing sector services in India which could help German companies and investors? What would you recommend, in which sectors? Some strategies to enter India, since you always advise customers at entry level?
Yes. Thank you for the question. Since we are addressing the cross-cultural teams and people strategy here, I would rather advise from a people perspective, the strength of India, which is people. So global capability center, irrespective of the sectors that you are in, whether engineering, R&D, or you want to have global accounting or documentation. Global capability centers are the functions which are centralized in a remote country like India. One for it started with cost advantage, but now it is like an arbitrage, talent arbitrage, and the availability of talent. So irrespective of the sectors, I think from people perspective, global capability centers, I would vouch for and put my money on, in India currently.
Thank you. And now, since you said put your money on, I will have to put my foot on the brakes on this webinar, on the Bremse, and I would love to take this forward, but we'll have to, we've already surpassed our time. But firstly, a heartfelt thank you to all our speakers here for sharing your experiences, insight, and real world perspective, something that, you all are not very candid about, and it really means a lot to us. And your contributions have definitely brought clarity on some complex topics which are essential for both India and Germany collaboration, especially what happens on day-to-day level. So, and also thank you to all our audience members for attention and your small gestures. We can't have you live join us, but your thumbs up and your claps and all, it means a lot to us and the speakers. It motivates us. And sessions like these really thrive because of your curiosity and also willingness to participate. So a big, big thank you. And also not to forget our brilliant back-end support team. Since it's people management and it's on people, I have to say thank you to Jessica for her unstinting support, and also Mr. Manish Chauhan for his vigorous backing from the embassy. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, speakers, and wishing you all a wonderful and happy day ahead. Thank you. And this is me signing off.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
for having us.
Thank you, Mona.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.